Are you digging up the dirt on your dead? Want to find out how? Hear the latest on new family history sources and websites with interesting and fun guests and experts. Find out what other people have been learning about their ancestors. From kings to thieves, inventors to farmers, nothing that's been discovered should surprise us anymore, but it always does. Find out what we mean. Great family history stories and information are on the way now with Extreme Genes, Family History Radio, and extremegenes.com.
Yeah, I don't think Mother knew about this.
Uncle Marvin was strangled by his own beard.
Yep, you never saw it coming.
Hello, Genies, and welcome to Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. I am your radio root sleuth, Fisher, on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. Well, the last few weeks have been like nothing I have ever experienced before. As you may well be aware by now, I offered to help a Utah sheriff to locate the surviving family of a murder victim whose remains were recently discovered after 32 years. Theresa Rose Greaves, a New Jersey native, had moved to Utah with a friend. Then on August 5th, 1983, at the age of 23, she disappeared. Nothing was discovered concerning her until February 5th, 2015, when a jogger discovered a skull at the base of a hillside in Davis County, Utah. From there, Sheriff Todd Richardson's team of specialists went to work and ultimately discovered the rest of Theresa's remains in a shallow grave located well up the hillside. After a few weeks, dental records identified the remains as those of Theresa. When the announcement was made, the Sheriff's Department asked for assistance from the public as they had determined that Theresa had no more living immediate family. It was their hope to find the closest next of kin as possible. I contacted Sheriff Richardson and told him that I've tracked down many living descendants of my ancestors through the years and had learned a few things in the process, so he gave me the green light. Well, as is often the case in family history research, you find someone who becomes something of a helper in the locale in which you're researching. And I was fortunate enough to find such a person pretty much right out of the gate. That person, a high school classmate of Theresa's, Debbie Veerers, from Camden County, New Jersey, will join me in about 7 minutes, and we will map out exactly how the next of kin of murder victim Theresa Rose Greaves were finally located. When the first news article on this came out last week, we had just made our first contact, and I didn't feel really ready to talk about it on last week's show until all the family had had a chance to be notified and then process the disturbing news. And since then, an even closer relative has been found. To my shock, the story has gained enormous national interest, aside from local Philadelphia reports near Theresa's New Jersey hometown, and local accounts in Utah where she was found. The story has been picked up by FoxNews.com, the Associated Press, CBS.com, and was highlighted on the 48 Hours Facebook page. And if it's not up yet, it will soon be on People.com, so it's been a little crazy. Your comments on our Facebook page and elsewhere have been very kind, and I look forward to telling you how it all developed, how it felt, and the most up-to-date details in just a few minutes. And by the way, if you're new to the show, you've got a lot of catching up to do. There's so much information on records and techniques and just incredible stories that's waiting for you on our podcasts. Find them on extremegenes.com, iHeartRadio's talk channel, and iTunes. And maybe the simplest way to keep up every week is to download our free app for iPhone and Android. It's waiting for you in your phone store. Just punch in Extreme Genes, and it's yours. You'll be able to listen wherever you go. It is time once again for your family histoire news for this week from the pages of extremegenes.com. In Camden, Arkansas, Gertrude Weaver has died. She was all of 116 years old. She was the world's oldest living person for all of 5 days. Just last week, Masao Okawa, who was 117, died in Japan. Gertrude was planning for her 117th in July, and she said she wanted President Obama to attend because she had voted for him twice, once when she was 110 and again when she was 114. She was born on the 4th of July in 1898 to sharecroppers in Texarkana, Arkansas. Her only surviving son is 94 years old. When she became the world's oldest living person on April 1st, she got a pink manicure to celebrate. The world's oldest living person now is thought to be Geraldine Talley, who lives in Inkster, Michigan, near Detroit. She is 115. There are not many folks left who were born in the 19th century, and those who are left are all women. Does this sound familiar? A skeleton is found across the pond under a parking lot. It belonged to a man who died in a historic battle. He had what is commonly called a hunchback. The man, however, was not King Richard III, who was finally, mercifully, reburied in Leicester, England just a few weeks ago. No, this man is described as a Hanoverian soldier fighting for Britain to liberate his homeland from Napoleon's occupation. He died of a musket wound in the side in the Battle of Waterloo on June 18, 1815. The soldier's remains are the only complete skeleton found on the site in 2 centuries, and the reason for this will make your jaw drop. Gareth Glover, a military historian, says that back in the 1830s and 1840s, bone was seen by fertilizer companies as a great fertilizer. So these companies would collect the bodies of the soldiers and horses from crowded battlefields, grind down the bone, and sell the product to farmers. Only in the 1860s did the practice end, when a newspaper in Yorkshire criticized farmers, noting that they were using the bodies of their own relatives and native sons to fertilize their fields. The skeleton was found with a musket ball in its ribs and a box nearby with the initials FCB on it. German coins were also present in the man's pocket. With this and records of who the fallen were in the battle, Gareth Glover has determined that the soldier is almost certainly a man named Friedrich Brandt. The link to the full story in the UK's Independent can be found now at extremegenes.com. And that's your family histoire news for this week. Okay, coming up next, I will tell you how it all happened, finding the next of kin of murder victim Theresa Rose Greaves of Collingswood, New Jersey, whose remains were found on February 5th in Utah after she went missing 32 years ago. Talk to you in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. Genies, not long ago, something happened with one particular online research service that changed everything. It happened with a service that already has 75 million members worldwide, and it's not who you think it is. Hi, it's Fisher, and you know I'm always looking for new and better ways for you to discover your ancestors, not just the data, but the stories. The online service I'm talking about takes your family tree and then uses its powerful automated technology to match the people in your tree to over 5 billion records from around the world. Censuses, newspaper stories, vital records with 97% accuracy. This means no more wading through thousands of useless so-called hints. This also means the site itself is constantly looking for matches for you, even while you're sleeping. What site does all this? It's myheritage.com. You can try myheritage.com for free. Here's a special gift from me. Use discount code EXTREMEGENES after signing up and get an exclusive 20% discount at myheritage.com.
How's your family history research going? Are you stuck on a difficult line? Don't know how to start? Let the professionals at Heritage Consulting Genealogy Research Services help. Heritage Consulting has been providing professional research and consultation services since 1978. They can help you find your own personal family history for far less than you would expect by researching, collecting, analyzing, and interpreting the numerous historical documents your ancestors left in their lifetimes. They'll then provide you with a professionally written report in book or electronic form that you and your family can enjoy for literally generations. Knowledge of your ancestors forges stronger ties within your family and helps children better appreciate who they are within the context of your family history. Call Heritage Consulting Genealogy Research Services right now. The call is free. Dial 1-877-537-2000. That's 1-877-537-2000. You'll speak directly to an expert genealogist. Find out more at heritageconsulting.com.
While we all love diving into the deep end of our gene pool, don't forget about capturing the histories of those who are still with us. Go to Storyworth.com to start your family's story today. Each week, Storyworth.com will email a question to people whose stories you wish to preserve. Questions like, tell us about the day you got engaged, or what do you remember about your grandmother? All they have to do is reply with a story, either by email or by telephone. That story is then forwarded to the family and securely stored in a private online storybook. It doesn't get any simpler. You can enroll up to 6 storytellers for, get this, just $49 a year. You'll get a free 1-month trial, and for a limited time, Extreme Genes listeners get an additional 10% discount at storyworth.com/extremegenes. That's storyworth.com/extremegenes. Is your family story worth 13 cents a day? Sign up now at storyworth.com/extremegenes. Simple, secure, effective. Your story is worth telling.
And welcome back to Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. I am Fisher, your radio root sleuth. Back in February, an interesting thing happened. A person who had been missing for 32 years was found, an apparent victim of murder. Their remains on a hillside in Utah were discovered by a jogger, and the sheriff's department in that area went to work to see if there was more than just the skull that he had stumbled upon. So they went up a treed hillside until they actually located the rest of the remains, some of which had actually begun to come down the hillside over these many years. And over time, they were able to identify the body of the individual through dental records as a woman named Theresa Rose Greaves, who was 23 years old when she disappeared on August 5th, 1983. She had been looking for a job earlier that day. She had a noon appointment in Salt Lake City. She lived just north of it with a roommate. She was from New Jersey originally, as was her roommate, and they had come out because she had a particular interest in Donny Osmond. And then that day she disappeared, never heard from again, never seen again. And so it's been an open case for many, many years. The sheriff of Davis County, Utah, where the body was found, made the announcement of the identification and then made the statement that they were having difficulty finding next of kin. So much time had elapsed and people had moved. A lot of people had died. They said they couldn't find any living family members. And so I reached out to Sheriff Richardson to see if I could be of help, having had a lot of experience trying to find living descendants of ancestors so that they might be able to help me get my lines back. And he welcomed the opportunity, to his great credit, because I think a lot of people would be a little territorial about things like this. And he said, hey, we'll take the help wherever we can get it. And so I went about the task of trying to find where these family members might be that might be able to claim the remains and get the closure that they certainly would need after this period of time. So I went to a website that had to do with missing persons. I think every state must have one. Utah had one, so I went to their site, and it referenced Theresa, gave us her birth date, and mentioned that she had been wearing a ring from Collingswood, New Jersey. Now, not knowing where that was, I found that of interest. And of course, knowing her birth date, you add 18 years to it, and you can get an idea of when she may have graduated from high school. So I went online and searched for Collingswood High School, class of 1977, and found a Facebook page that they maintain, all the classmates, one with another. It's closed, so it's not a place that you can easily leave a message to. But their administrator was listed there. I clicked on him and found out that he was a real estate agent. And fortunately, he had a cell phone number listed. I gave him a call, and he answered, and I filled him in on the fact that his classmates' remains after all these years had been found in Utah, and that I was going to try to help find family, and if he could help me to do that, I would appreciate that. He reached out to the class of 1977 to see if there might be some people there who knew Theresa better than he had known her. And up popped Debbie Veerers. Debbie got on the phone with me, and we started to talk. And Debbie's on the phone with me right now. Hi, Deb. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, you know, I'm still processing this whole thing. This is not one of those experiences that you get many opportunities to have in the course of a lifetime.
Well, this is a first for me.
How well did you know Theresa?
Well, I went to high school with Theresa. We had some classes together. We were not best of friends, or, we did not travel in the same circles, but we knew who each other were. You have a large class, so you tend to get to know everybody to an extent.
Now, Collingswood, New Jersey is located where?
We are actually right outside of Philadelphia, South Jersey, between Philadelphia and Atlantic City.
So I was talking to you, Deb, a few weeks ago, and you immediately came up with something that nobody else had, and that was your high school yearbook, which is not online to this point, and found that her home address was listed there, as were all the seniors from your class.
Correct. That was the first thing I did, but as soon as I got this email from Ron, I was evidently the only one that really responded. I grabbed the yearbook. I saw her picture, where she lived, and actually prior to that, I Googled her name, and that's where I saw the articles that were in the Utah media, had her picture all over the place, and when I saw that, I knew that was her high school yearbook photo, and that's when I got the yearbook out and matched it. And, of course, the address was listed, so I went over to where she had resided then and took a picture of the house, went to the local borough hall, the community, to find what information I could about the deed. And
you found some great stuff that you provided to me, that her great-grandmother and a son of that great-grandmother sold the house for $1 in 1973 to Theresa's grandmother and two brothers. And of course, you knew the relationships because you had actually knocked on doors around that neighborhood and found a neighbor who had known them 40 years ago.
Exactly. I found an old schoolmate that lived a couple houses down from there, which her mother was a teacher locally. So between her and her mom, they gave me the story of remembering her coming at younger age. It was like as early as 10 years old. She would come and stay with the uncle just for the summer and hang out and play. So she really created some friendships. She would come every summer. Evidently, she had lived with a grandmother in North Jersey, and they would just come down to visit the uncles for the summer. And then by high school, she decided to move in, stay, and go to high school with the friends that she had made.
In all the descriptions of her, she was a very funny, friendly gal.
Yes. I want to say, we had our quiet sides to us. I mean, I was always quiet and shy in school, and she kind of was too. In class, in front of the class, you not very talkative. But behind the scenes, in the lunchroom, always laughing and joking around. I mean, I think her and I were kindred spirits because we were the two that, sat in the back of the class because we didn't want to raise our hands, and always the quiet ones.
So you were in classes with her, but didn't run in the same circles.
Exactly.
Well, with the information you gave me, that really created an opening to start to try to find the family. And I was able to go back on MyHeritage and look at the census records from 1920 and 30 and find the names there and try to piece together how the family fit. And so that's where I was able to get the birth year of the grandmother and try to piece together exactly how she fit into the picture. And then later, when I found her obituary in Virginia, which was online, with the Find a Grave page, it gave her birth date, which matched what I had found in the census. So those names were essential. And then that obituary gave the name of her next of kin, which was a man by the name of Joseph Greaves, an uncle to Theresa. I thought at that point, Debbie, we were pretty much there, didn't you?
I really did. I thought we found who we needed.
And then it kind of went on from there because I contacted the sheriff's department, said, hey, we have an address, his information of where he lived at the time of the obituary, which was about 1997. I went to the white pages, and that gave his address in Virginia. But as it turned out, when the Virginia authorities went to check it out, the building had been torn down. It had been an old building that was used to deal with senior citizens. And so Mr. Greaves had apparently moved on somewhere else, but there was no indication that he had passed. So when the deputy came back and said, no, this doesn't work, we went back to work, and I found him again down in Florida. Once again, the address turned out to be something of a dead end. Now this is getting kind of frustrating. Debbie and I, we were talking pretty much every day. She was trying to see if there was anything more she could find in New Jersey that might tie in, but nothing further did. But at least we were down into Florida. And this is where I was able to find the white pages and finding people associated with this particular individual. You start finding names, but none of them have existing phone numbers. Cell phones generally aren't listed. A lot of landlines, especially among seniors in Florida, are not listed because they don't want people from out of state, like me, calling them and soliciting them. And so it was really very difficult to get anything going. So then I tried searching just the name Greaves in that particular area, and some other names started popping up. Some had been maiden names, married names, but it's not a common name the way it was spelled, Greaves. So I started finding people with similar names associated with them as had been associated with this Joseph. So that is how it started to unravel. The problem, though, Debbie, was that ultimately people didn't want to take the phone calls. I'd start calling and calling. There'd be no answer. Maybe I'd find 2 or 3 numbers that were actually still viable with the folks we were looking for. And in the end, we found the uncle because I was able to find his daughter-in-law through her ex-mother-in-law. I'd left a phone message, and imagine getting a phone message like that we're trying to find this woman because there is a person who had died years ago that has been found. And she was, of course, confused and wondering, is this some kind of scam? Is this somebody who's a little unusual? Fortunately, she made the effort to call this Gigi, who had married a cousin of Theresa's, and she called me, and I got that call on April 1st. Gigi hadn't been in the family for very long and certainly didn't have the emotional connections that others did. So she was able to easily kind of fill me in on the family dynamics, on where they had been, where they had gone. She was certainly aware of her husband's cousin and her disappearance back in 1983. And when we were done, at least with that initial phone call, I was home alone at the time and just hung up the phone, and it was just a wave of emotion that we were able to make that happen. And Debbie, couldn't have done it without you.
Well, I was so full of compassion to be able to find family. There had to be somebody. And once we started finding that everybody had left New Jersey, it was just really difficult to know where to go from there.
All right, we're going to take a break. There's a lot more to this story. We'll tell you about it coming up in 5 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Hovorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks.
Can't figure out how to get your favorite Windows genealogy software running on your MacBook? Look no further than Crossover. Crossover by Codeweavers at www.codeweavers.com allows you to run your Windows software on your Mac without the need to buy a copy of Windows. Crossover is easy to install and simple to use. Crossover supports many popular genealogy packages like Roots Magic, Legacy Family Tree, Personal Ancestral File, Family Tree Builder, and more. Crossover also lets you run other popular productivity apps like Microsoft Office and a wide range of games. So if you're looking for an easy, affordable solution to your Windows compatibility needs, visit www.codeweavers.com today to download your free trial of Crossover. And don't forget to use the deal code FAMILY for an additional 40% off when you purchase Crossover.
Hello, Extreme Genes listeners. I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru and host of the Travel Show radio broadcast with the hottest travel deals on the planet. And now you can travel more and pay less by joining me on our Travel Show podcast. Cruises, tours, resort hotels, airline tickets, stay close to home, or travel the world. I'll show you how to travel more and pay less. Go online to ColumbusVacations.com. That's ColumbusVacations.com. Click on radio and then click on podcast. It's really that simple. ColumbusVacations.com, radio and podcast for the hottest travel deals on the planet.
Got a brick wall in your family tree? Don't know how to break through it? Get professional help from Heritage Consulting Genealogy Research Services. Speak directly with an experienced genealogical researcher, not a salesperson, by calling toll-free 1-877-537-2000. When you call, ask how you could win a free 1-hour consultation with an expert genealogist. Heritage Consulting Genealogy Research Services, with over 35 years of research experience. Visit heritageconsulting.com. Did you know your family's memories are being destroyed a little at a time every day? It's true. Old home movies, slides, photos, and audio recordings fade over time. The longer you delay the digitizing of these priceless artifacts, the more likely it is they'll be gone one day. That's why you need to call the Multimedia Center.
I brought in VHS videotape and had them transferred to DVD.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
We are back. Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. It is Fisher here, the radio root sleuth, with one of the classmates of Theresa Rose Greaves, Debbie Veerers. And Deb, I think one of the things we haven't even touched on yet is what your class of 77 has been doing to remember her. You started a GoFundIt campaign to assist the family when found, or just to take care of matters if they were not, to handle burial, memorial, and a scholarship fund in her name. And how's that gone?
You know, this fund has really taken off. When I first started it, the class members were the ones stepping up. I first announced it on Facebook, which I'm friends with a lot of my classmates on Facebook, and, you know, they were all donating $100 each. There was just an outpour of love and emotion, and just it rekindled a lot of friendships. There was so much love for Theresa, and I now have over $3,000 raised, and which is going to help the family have her relocated and to be resting with her grandmother.
That's right. They're going to bury her in Virginia. And we should add here that once we made contact with the family, one of the other cousins was able to tell us that there was a half-brother out there somewhere they hadn't been in touch with. In fact, they thought he was deceased. But when we looked online for various records there, we found, no, he wasn't deceased. He was still living in northern New Jersey. And through her efforts, we've been able now to find the half-brother. And he is still dealing with the shock of this entire matter finally coming to some kind of resolution after more than 3 decades. But he's doing well, and the family is coming together to deal with this. And in time, the remains will be turned back over to the family.
I could not imagine having to go through this now. And I know all these family members haven't seen each other actually for years either. And that's where I wanted to be able to help financially. And I know how it can be a struggle. At that point, there's so much to do and think about. And I just wanted to help make it as easy as possible.
Well, you did some great work, Deb. And it couldn't have happened without you. And I'm sure there's a lot of appreciation there.
Thank you so much. And I was, you know what, Scott, it's been really fun working with you.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because it was certainly purposeful work, wasn't it? Typically when you do family history research, you're a living person looking for your dead. And in this case, we were trying to find living people who were tied into someone who was deceased. Completely the opposite, but exactly the same techniques going forward. The story has taken off all over the country. It hit the AP, it hit Fox News, and I think, Debbie, both you and I have been a little taken back by the attention that it's gotten and really feel more like the attention should be with the family and with what's gone on.
It's been such a good feeling to be able to help. It really has. It's been very emotional. Even though she wasn't a close friend of mine, but the last thing I saw her was probably graduation day in June of 1977.
Yeah, now this. When did you first hear she was missing?
I never knew she was missing. And I've been a part of our reunion committees over the years and to help find people. And she's been one of the names that we were never able to connect with, to tell about the reunions. We never knew that she was missing. It never got back to us as a class.
I did not realize that. When I talked to Ron, your administrator with your Facebook page, he said, oh, yeah, she's been missing for a long time. I took it to mean that he understood that she was a missing person. But from what you're saying, it sounds like more that they were looking at her as somebody they just couldn't find for reunions.
Exactly, yeah. And there's a handful of people that they go away and they don't want to have anything to do with us, I guess. But I wish we had known that we would have been able to do anything about it. And I would still like to do some type of a memorial service locally for her friends that are still in the South Jersey area. I know her brother now, he's in the North Jersey. I wish I was close enough to him I could run over and give him a hug.
Yeah.
I know right now he probably needs it.
Yeah, he probably does. Absolutely. Well, Debbie, thank you so much for all you've done. It's just absolutely amazing. I have found many times over the years, researching ancestors, I'll make a connection with somebody who takes an interest in it, and they do exactly what you did. You just say, okay, what do we have to do? And you jump in and you provide just enough information where you can take that and really run with it. And that was certainly the case in this situation.
Oh, it made me feel so good to be able to help. And I felt like a little sleuth going around taking pictures for information.
You are. You're Detective Veerers now.
I am. I'm going to have to put a tile on my front door.
There you go. Well, it's been great chatting with you, Deb, and having this experience with you. I think it's something we'll always remember, probably for the rest of our lives.
It really will be, absolutely. And I think of Theresa every day, and I probably always will. She'll be a part of me. Thank you for everything.
Hey, and thank you to the class of 77. It sounds like they've really been behind this to support the family.
Well, that's what we are. It takes a village, and we have that village here.
Sounds like it. Thank you, Deb.
Thanks.
Well, the last couple of weeks have been crazy. And I want to thank Davis County, Utah Sheriff Todd Richardson for allowing me to assist in this case. As he tells it, it's allowed his people to focus on the investigation of who killed Theresa Greaves, and that's a great plus. Thanks also to Sergeant Robert Thompson, lead detective in the case, for sharing information that helped clarify some of the family dynamics. And now that all of the family members have been identified, located, and notified, I'm told it'll probably be a few more months before Theresa's remains are returned to them due to certain protocol and the fact that the remains are part of an active murder investigation. Sheriff Richardson's team has done an amazing job in handling all of this, and I congratulate all of them on all the progress they've made so far. And I'm sure I speak for everybody and all of our Extreme Genes listeners when I say to the Greaves family, you are all in our thoughts and prayers. We'll be back.
Hi, Genies, it's Fisher, and I've been telling you about MyHeritage.com's amazing new technology that searches your family tree day and night for you, finding matches even while you sleep in documents and other people's trees. Here's a find I never would have made without it. It's a newspaper story about a relative of mine, Paul Sagal, who I knew many years ago. It's from 1943, when Paul was serving in the Pacific. When he learned his father died, he wrote a poem to his brother that indicated he wouldn't be returning for the funeral. He wrote, "There'll be no furlough for me. I'm in the Marines, you see. Alive and well as I am, memories I'll keep of my dad." Then the newspaper editor added, "These are all the sentiments that will win this war. There are treasures like this one waiting for you now." Put MyHeritage.com's superb technology to work for you with a 20% discount. Just enter the one-word promo code EXTREMEGENES. MyHeritage.com is the next big thing.
While we all love diving into the deep end of our gene pool, don't forget about capturing the histories of those who are still with us. Go to StoryWorth.com to start your family's story today. Each week, StoryWorth.com will email a question to people whose stories you wish to preserve. Questions like, tell us about the day you got engaged, or what do you remember about your grandmother? All they have to do is reply with a story, either by email or by telephone. That story is then forwarded to the family and securely stored in a private online storybook. It doesn't get any simpler. You can enroll up to 6 storytellers for, get this, just $49 a year. You'll get a free 1-month trial, and for a limited time, Extreme Genes listeners get an additional 10% discount at StoryWorth.com/ExtremeGenes. That's StoryWorth.com/ExtremeGenes. Is your family story worth 13 cents a day? Sign up now at StoryWorth.com/ExtremeGenes. Simple, secure, effective. Your story is worth telling.
Your priceless 8mm home movies and your precious family videos are deteriorating right now. Heat, moisture, insects, dust, mold, time, they're all robbing you of your family's memories. It's time to preserve those treasures right now by digitizing them at tmcplace.com. They've been preserving memories for over 40 years. Home movies, videos, audio tapes, vinyl records, photos, slides, and even scrapbooks. Whether your treasures are enduring the humidity of Massachusetts or the heat of Arizona, tmcplace.com can digitize your audio and images without harming the originals and returning them to you with free shipping both ways on most orders. tmcplace.com can even let you track your package in real time with a special GPS tracking device. Trustworthy, experienced, affordable. Call tmcplace.com toll-free at 1-866-483-1717 to talk to Extreme Genes Preservation Authority Tom Perry about your project, or order online at shop.tmcplace.com.
We are back. America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes. It is Fisher here with my good friend Tom Perry from tmcplace.com. He is our preservation authority. Tom, good to have you back.
It's good to be back. You know, what you did by giving these people closure is amazing, and that's why you never give up on stories like this. You want to do what you can to find out what you can do to get through those brick walls, so to speak.
Well, you know, so many times in the course of this thing, we did hit brick walls, and it was just really frustrating. And you would just say to yourself, keep going, keep going, keep going, until finally that phone call came, and that was quite a moment. But
it's amazing.
What I'm astonished about is how the country has picked up on this story. It's all over the place. People like to know that there's closure in situations like this, and I think that's why they're embracing it. What are we talking about today in preservation?
Okay, one thing that we've talked about off and on through the years that we've been doing this show is what you do, but there's a lot of times there's things you shouldn't do, and sometimes these things change. Like I remember first when we started the show a few years ago, we talked about always wearing white gloves, and then through research they find out, hey, some situation where you shouldn't wear white gloves. So things evolve, and you really need to stay on the top of things. It's not like you have an old Encyclopedia Britannica from 30 years ago,
right,
and that's what you always go to.
Exactly. So what do you have in mind here?
Well, you know, there's a real good website that our people can go and listen to. It's called archives.gov, and there's all kinds of good stories on there. And we're going to kind of breeze through some of them, the Reader's Digest version, to help our listeners see different things that they can do to preserve their memories, things to do and things not to do. For instance, a lot of problems that people have, they get something from Aunt Ethel. She's been gone. They go through her house. You find all these old dusty boxes, and they open the top of the box, start pulling out stuff, and this dust that was on top of the box is now all over, so it's getting on the documents, it's getting on the photos, the negatives. That's a big do not do. What I recommend people do, and what we do at our reunion center, we have a little cafe, we have 3 sinks. We have a sink that's for wash, a sink that's for rinse, and a sink that's for sanitize. And you need to do kind of the same thing when you're dealing with old documents. You want to have a place where you first get out these boxes, get them out of the closet or wherever they are, and then clean them off. And you want to be real careful how you clean them off. You never want to use those air in a can because it gets really, really cold if you shake it up and you can actually damage things. The best thing to do is get a good lint-type cloth and wipe them off very, very carefully. Or if you do need to blow them off, the best thing to do is use a compressor on a really, really low setting because then there's no water involved, there's no coldness to it, and brush it off. Okay, now once you've got that done, don't open the box yet. Now that the box is clean, take the box to what we would call the rinse area. So it's in a different area so you don't have all the dust flying around that you're not even going to see that's going to get on your documents. Then open it and take out the different things and start going through them. And some of them will be in good condition, that they're fine. Some of them are going to be poor condition, and kind of categorize them by whether they're old letters that are kind of torn up, whether they're ones in really good condition, whether they're in those old kind of albums that have the wax stuff on them, which really ruin pictures.
Right.
And set them in different areas. And then, of course, put all your photos in one area and then all your negatives in one area. Because we talked a few weeks ago, with your documents, you really don't want to put the white gloves on because you can damage the documents by just squeezing them, getting the filters in them. So you want to make sure you go scrub up really good like you're going to start doing surgery, and then go through them really, really easy, page by page. Your negatives and your photographs, the glossy ones, you're going to want to use gloves on those because they'll pick up fingerprints. Even if your hands are totally clean, you're still going to have some oils in there. So anything that's glossy, like the old glossy photographs and the negatives, if they're bare and not in a container, you want to put on the white gloves for those. And as soon as there's any sign of any kind of marks getting on your gloves, throw them away. They're cheap.
Exactly.
And put on a new pair so you don't damage them. And then once you get everything set apart, you're going to want to do different things like your negatives if they're loose. You're going to want to get archival sleeves to put them in. Then you move all those to the second area, which I called your rinse area. And then you're going to want to put those in the new sleeves. If you have some documents that are starting to fade or that are really not looking good, you're going to want to get some special archival paper and put between the sheets so that they don't imprint on each other. And one thing that was out probably about 10 years ago, they had these color printers that were called Tektronic. They were all the rage. And the problem with those, they actually are wax-based, and they look great for a few years. Or if you ever put them in a hot car or something like that, the wax actually becomes soft again, and it'll start bleeding into the sheet.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. I've got a lot of those. And it starts bleeding into the sheet, and so then it's not a nice, crisp picture anymore. It's kind of blurry. So old things like that, you're going to want to set in a third area because you're going to want to scan those ASAP, because in one day you could have those ruined. So you want to put those in another area. And then your last area, which I call is a sanitized area, that's where you're going to put them in the new sleeves. You're going to get new archival boxes, and don't just get, a box from U-Haul and think that's an okay box. Make sure you get archival boxes and that they seal. So you want to put all your documents in there, seal them out, and then if you're going to put them back in the same closet you originally started with, make sure you go back to that closet and wipe it down. The ceilings, the walls, everything, make sure it's nice and clean, everything's dry. You've given it plenty of time for the dust to settle if you need a vacuum or whatever before you put the things back in, or you're introducing them right back into the area that you just took them out of.
Wow, that's a great process, and I've never considered it as being like rinsing and drying, but that's very similar, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you need to do all those things because we have people all the time, they just pop open a box, it's just covered with dust, and now that dust has gotten into the books, into the photos, into everything, and now they've got to go clean it. So maybe in the next segment we can talk a little bit about if some of those documents have dirt on them, what we can do to get rid of the dirt.
All right, when we return in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Hello, Extreme Genes listeners. I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru and host of the Travel Show radio broadcast with the hottest travel deals on the planet. And now you can travel more and pay less by joining me on our Travel Show podcast. Cruises, tours, resort hotels, airline tickets, stay close to home, or travel the world. I'll show you how to travel more and pay less. Go online to ColumbusVacations.com. That's ColumbusVacations.com. Click on radio and then click on podcast. It's really that simple. ColumbusVacations.com, radio and podcast for the hottest travel deals on the planet.
Can't figure out how to get your favorite Windows genealogy software running on your MacBook? Look no further than Crossover. Crossover by Codeweavers at www.codeweavers.com allows you to run your Windows software on your Mac without the need to buy a copy of Windows. Crossover is easy to install and simple to use. Crossover supports many popular genealogy packages like Roots Magic, Legacy Family Tree, Personal Ancestral File, Family Tree Builder, and more. Crossover also lets you run other popular productivity apps like Microsoft Office and a wide range of games. So if you're looking for an easy, affordable solution to your Windows compatibility needs, visit www.codeweavers.com today to download your free trial of Crossover. And don't forget to use the deal code FAMILY for an additional 40% off when you purchase Crossover.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks.
Welcome back. Final segment of Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. I am Fisher, your radio root sleuth, with TMC Place's own Tom Perry. He's our preservation authority. Hi, Tommy. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Great stuff so far. And you got this from the National Archives site. And who is this who's talking to us about finding old boxes of documents, how to make sure they stay clean as you start to go through them, how you sort them, and then how you preserve them? Who is the author here?
It's Mary Lynn Ritzenthaler. But if you just go to archives.gov, you'll be able to look her up and find her. She's got pages and pages about all kinds of tips to help you In fact, one of the things that she talks about is you need to select a supply list of things you need to have in your quiver when you're doing these kind of things. And one of the things that most people never even think about is you need to protect yourself from the old documents. And
really? From what?
For instance, if you're in an old closet, you don't know what's in that dust. You have no idea. If it's an old house, there could be asbestos, there could be all kinds of things. So one thing that is recommended is to have something as simple as a dust mask, which you can pick up at Home Depot, a pack of 12 of them for probably about $5. And that sounds silly. However, you don't want to be inhaling asbestos or any other kind of weird stuff that could have accumulated in that. It could be mold, it could be mold spores, all kinds of stuff. You want to use gloves at the very beginning when you're moving this stuff around and cleaning your boxes. And then when you go from, like we say, the clean to the rinse, then throw those gloves away. And if you're dealing with negatives and glossy photos, you want to have white gloves in. If you're dealing with documents, don't have any gloves. Just make sure you wash your hands very, very thoroughly. Now, some of the things you're going to want in your quiver is you're going to want to make sure you have archival bond paper. If you have some old pages that are starting to get sticky or starting to stick to each other, or you're removing photographs from those old wax albums that were awful, you want to make sure you have archival bond paper so you can stick these pictures on that, so then the wax will adhere to that and not make things any worse.
And it's important to remember, too, that a lot of this stuff was filled with all kinds of acid back in the day, and archival paper will neutralize that.
Exactly. That's the reason why you want to have the archival bond paper. That's the best reason for it. One thing you want to make sure is when you get these pictures out and put them on the archival bond paper, and then put another piece of archival bond on top of those, so just in case some of the wax has gone through the paper or there's some on the top, you're not going to ruin the next set of photographs you put on top of it. And then you want to definitely put those in the file that you need to scan ASAP. Just like the old Tektronix color printers that use a wax-based ink, you're going to make sure you scan these as soon as possible, because you might have lucked out, and over the 30 years, there's no problem with any of those things. And driving home, if you get in a hot car or stop to get some milk at 7-Eleven, you could actually damage these things, so you want to get them scanned ASAP so you have a digital copy of all of them just in case something happens. Then another thing that's really important, you want to get some good quality brush, not the all-a-dollar type brushes. I use a squirrel tail brush because they're really, really soft. They're great at cleaning stuff off. So if you have like photographs, you want to use a really fine artist brush to brush the dirt off. If you have old documents like paper, don't use a brush, because you could actually take the dust that's in there and impregnate it right into the material.
That's right. That's right.
So you want to be very, very careful. And I have a little compressor. I just bought it at Sears. It's not a very powerful one. In fact, I set it on the lowest setting, which is a good way to clean off documents, as long as they're not torn or wrinkly or starting to fall apart, because the air will damage them.
All right, Tom. Great stuff. And once again, it's from archives.gov, a great resource for anybody looking to preserve pretty much any kind of old document or photograph from any era. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
And thanks once again to Debbie Veerers of Camden County, New Jersey, who was such a great help to me in bringing closure to the family of the late Theresa Greaves, a murder victim in Utah, as we found that family back in Florida. It's an experience I will never forget. If you missed any of the show, you want to hear part of it again, catch the podcast at extremegenes.com, iTunes, or iHeartRadio's Talk Channel. Talk to you again next week. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.